The trades, front office drama, the locker room banter, and you talking all about
blah,
it.
Blah, 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 blah.
On Boston's home for sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Now, you have dog crap in your system.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Maz.
They did nothing this offseason.
Brought to you by Bigelow Tea, Corona, Gravely Zero Turn Lawnmowers, Jackson Lumber, Team Impact, Blue Moon Belgian White, and FindMassMoney.gov. On 98.5 The Sports Hub.
In this business, everybody, wants to hit the ball at the ballpark, and I mean, certain moments you got to put them in play, and we did. Ref did it, Dom did it. It started with a walk. We put pressure on them. We ran the base extremely well today, but the value of putting the ball in play, it was huge today, and we're gonna keep preaching that. I know some people probably hated it, hate that, but I'm the manager. I'm asking that from my players.
Well, that is Alex Cora a couple of nights ago. After the Red Sox came back, beat the Tampa Bay Rays. I think 8-5 was the final score of that game. But I don't know why I am so interested in that particular comment and topic with Alex Cora, but it is a Friday and a long weekend Friday here on the Baseball Hour. We'll open up the phones right away, 617-779-0985. And as has been the case since last week, and this will continue to be true. I'm sure you two have heard it. By the way, Tyler Milliken is here. Matt McCarthy's here. How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. But if you guys have not been listening, which I wouldn't blame you for, but if you have, then I've basically opened the door for people to tell me if they are watching the Red Sox, why or why not. If they aren't watching the Red Sox, why or why not. You get the idea. Because, again, viewership for the Red Sox right now is the lowest I can remember in the last 30 years. I'm going all the way back into the early 90s now, the Mo Vaughn / Butch Hobson years. It's as low as it, and I don't know how much higher it's going to get when the Celtics playoffs end, when summer is officially here. This weekend is sort of the unofficial start of summer, but you get the idea. I don't know how much that's going to change. But regardless, what we're going to do, we're going to start off as we do every Friday when Tyler and Matt are here. Everyone's going to sort of throw something out there. And then I just want to add one other thing before we do that. At the end of the program, I have to read something that Kevin Majori gave me today before the show that has nothing to do with baseball, and that made me wet my pants laughing when I read it. Okay? And it relates to golf. It relates to golf. That's all I'm going to say. It's not a golf show, but it's a long weekend coming up, and we'll do this just before the top of the hour at 7 o'clock because I found it to be absolutely freaking hysterical when I read it. But in any case, that's for later. 617-779-0985. McCarthy, go.
So you asked me if I've been watching the Red Sox, and the answer is yes. Of course I'm watching the Red Sox. I love baseball. I love the Red Sox. They're my team. Am I watching them on nights where the Celtics are playing? No. I'm engaged in those games fully. But the other night, this is Wednesday night, I had the Phillies on MLB Network. And I spent a little bit more time watching the Phillies than I did the Red Sox. And I just watched that team, and I said, this team is so fun. I mean, if you're not paying attention to what the Phillies are doing right now, they're 37-14. I mean, they're on pace to, break the Mariners record for most wins in a season. They are an absolute wagon. World Series team 2 years ago, should have been a World Series team last year, collapsed at home. Certainly, if I were a Phillies fan, wouldn't want to forgive them for that. But I look at what they're doing, and I look at what the Red Sox are doing. And it's hard not to be envious of the approach. And yes, is it sustainable to do it over the course of a long period of time? No, probably not. I get that. But look at the last 5 years of Red Sox baseball. And this is nothing against this year's team, right? They're 26-24. They're up and down. I found them to be a reasonably enjoyable product to watch. I think they've given you a little something. I don't think they're a playoff team. I think they're going to finish a couple games below 500. I think this is who they're going to be. And I tuned in and I watched that Phillies team the other night, and I said, they're an absolute freaking wagon. That's a team that wants to win. They are stopping at nothing to win. Dave Dombrowski obviously is the GM there. The owner, John Middleton, is spending so much money on that team. And it just reminded me the other night, watching the Red Sox in Tampa Bay and watching the Phillies just beat the ever-living bag out of the Rangers the other night. I'm like, this is what I want as a baseball fan. I want to feel this level of excitement and energy around my baseball team, and they're just not willing to give it to you. And that's frustrating. I know Craig Breslow made some comments about wanting to improve the team at the deadline and whether it's responsible to do so. And I said, this is what we're doing every single year now. We're doing this every single year. It's, well, is it responsible to add at the deadline? We need to think about the long-term picture. And I watched the Phillies the other night at 37-14, and I said, this is what I want instead. And it's okay for me as a baseball fan to be envious of that. That's what the Red Sox should be, and they're not.
Just quickly, for all the hype that there was around the Dodgers, obviously the Braves, some of these teams have made moves during the offseason. The Phillies are freaking loaded.
They're so much fun.
I think they're the World Series favorite right now, and you look at what they've done such a great job of. Dombrowski came in and inherited a lot of that main core, right? JT Realmuto, Aaron Nola.
He did here.
Exactly, right? You kind of came into this finished product and you put it on. Bryce Harper was obviously signed before that. And he has gone ahead and re-signed all these guys and kept them all around. I think that's something you look at where that core could have kind of came to a close a lot sooner, kind of like the Red Sox core. That was still somewhat left. And while some pieces were obviously had to go at the time, or they framed it like they had to go like Mookie Betts or whatever it was, Dave Dombrowski stepped in there, spent money, and not every deal has worked out. Nick Castellanos, Trey Turner hasn't looked great, but still, he invested in that core, kept them around, and built around them, making smart trades like he did for Brandon Marsh. That's what you were hoping for with the Red Sox, rebuilding on the go and kind of staying competitive. He's just done it to the perfect level so far.
Okay, what's your thought, Milliken? Go.
Yeah, so I kind of expanded on this on 985thesportsup.com. I wrote a piece, Jarren Duran versus Wilyer Abreu. And when you ask me why I'm watching the Red Sox right now, I'm watching them for development. And I am one of the sick people who watches them when the Celtics are on. I see my mentions. I know something's wrong with me.
I can confirm that.
Yeah,
Go.
right.
I'm still here. But I think it's figuring out what the main pieces are going to be here moving forward that interests me so much in this team. This really is a core that I believe in and I think is something special. And I think when you look at two of the more interesting players on the position side of things for the Red Sox, it's Jarren Duran and Wilyer Abreu. And Duran right now, I don't know if people realize how special of a player he's become this year. He's sixth in all of baseball in WAR. Who's ahead of him? Mookie Betts, Kyle Tucker, Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt Jr., and Shohei Ohtani. That's it. He's the sixth most valuable player. Why is that? Well, he's tied for fifth in doubles, first in triples, and he's become an elite defender, 98th percentile outs above average, while playing center field the majority of the time. Wilyer Abreu in the middle of the Rookie of the Year race. It's him versus Colton Cowser. You have a guy who's hitting at the same level he did in September, which if you ask anyone, everyone would say, he's going to regress a little bit. I don't expect him to be that good. Well, he's been even better. He's stealing bags, 7 for 7 in that department. But what interests me more than anything, and it comes down to the deadline where Craig Breslow is going to have to make these moves, we've all been sold on Roman Anthony as part of the big three. He is the number one consensus prospect in the system right now, even after a slow start. He's been hot in May. There's not going to be room for everybody here. Ceddanne Rafaela signed that 8-year extension worth $50 million. They've already pushed him to center field over the last week. David Hamilton just had to look somewhat competent, and they said, stop, no more Rafaela at shortstop, go play center most days. So you have that outfield, 3 young outfielders already, but the one you seem to view as having the highest ceiling in Roman Anthony should be ready by this time next year. Craig Breslow, what are you going to do? And I'm not sure yet. I wouldn't tell you I know who they're going to deal right away. You got a couple months to figure that out, but that's going to be the hardest decision Craig Breslow has to make. Arguably, since he's been hired here, that's what I want to see. Who's going to be the piece left standing?
Real quick on that, Maz, can I just jump in?
Yeah, quick. Go.
It's important for a young general manager to be able to make that decision, too, because I think it would be Chaim Bloom's MO to hold on to all of those guys. And Milliken is making, I think, the most important point, for the Red Sox moving forward, this is a really big picture point, is that they have too many outfielders. And I would also add, they have too many left-handed hitters coming up through the system. A year from now, if you say hold on to all of these guys, we're talking about Teal, Casas, Meyer, Devers, Yoshida, Anthony, Abreu,
Casas.
Duran, all of those left-handed hitters, every single one. So you're going to have a young general manager make some really tough decisions here. Who do you pick? Who do you keep? Who do you trade? This is something Dave Dombrowski, kind of tying back into the Phillies point, was really good at, picking the guy to trade, picking the guy to keep. A year from now, there's a massive logjam going on in this organization. Craig Breslow needs to figure that out. I think Milliken is spot on with this point.
And I'll add, remember, Yoan Moncada versus Rafael Devers. That was the pick Dave Dombrowski had to make at that time. And you had Moncada pushing for the big leagues. You got a little taste of them. And you had to pick, just like you're going to have to pick Roman Anthony versus Wilyer Abreu, Jarren Duran. Pick the right one. You pick the wrong one, look at where the White Sox are today as they base that franchise around Yoan Moncada.
It's the most important thing that's facing Breslow. I have felt this way about every general manager I've ever covered in every sport. You got to be able to identify the real prospects from the fake prospects. You peddle the fake ones, you can fill your needs, fill your holes, you keep the good ones, and now you're in business. And just because I do think this relates a little bit on some level to what both of you were talking about, which is the general manager, and I say manager, because again, I'm obsessed with this comment by Alex Cora. We played it at the start of the show. Jimmy, just the very end of it, please.
I'm the manager. I'm asking that from my players.
I'm the manager, and I'm asking for that from my players. Where's that coming from? Where is that coming from? Why does Alex Cora feel the need, with the Red Sox in the middle of a sweep of the Tampa Bay Rays, to tell us, I'm the manager, that's what I want from my players? Why does that come out that way? Why doesn't Cora just say it was a nice rally? It's nice to see that kind of rally. We've changed the rules. The game's different now. There's a way to make that point without saying, I'm the manager, that's what I'm going to ask from my players. Because right before that, he said that I know a lot of people might not like the way we had this rally, implying that it wasn't about launch angle and home runs and 3 true outcomes and walks and strikeouts. It was about putting the ball in play, old school baseball, making contact, taking extra bases, going first to third, little things that you can do to help win games. That's what it was about. So now, do I think Alex Cora and Craig Breslow are at odds? No. But to your point, Milliken, and I'm just trying to put things together as we go, David Hamilton was playing shortstop. He sucked at it.
Horrendous.
Craig Breslow at that time had said, or indicated is a better way to put it, Rafaela was going to stay in center field. He didn't. He ended up going to shortstop. And by the way, the day he got there, they started playing better. The defense immediately stabilized, and they got better right away. Now Rafaela's back in center field, and Hamilton's back at shortstop. Why? And is this part of the reason why Alex Cora is saying, you know what? You want to take my shortstop away from me? Fine. Take my effing shortstop. I still want the guys to put balls in play. And again, this team's not a World Series threat. I don't think these are apocalyptic happenings for the 2024 Red Sox. Frankly, Alex Cora's gone at the end of the year either way, if you ask me. Maybe the manager's just looking at it and saying, you know what? I'm going down my way. I'm going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Here's how our team is going to play. And beyond this comment, there were others he made with Alex Spear from pregame the other night that I thought were revealing in terms of, if he had his druthers, how Cora wants to play the game versus how the game is being played by the analysts and the baseball nerds and the GMs and everybody else. Anyway, that's where we're going to start. 617-779-0985 on the Baseball Hour. Milliken's here. McCarthy's here. We'll get to your calls when we come back. And, I do have a specific question that either of these guys might be able to answer about someone on the Red Sox and a positional decision Cora is making and what it means. We'll talk about that when we get back as well.
This is the Baseball Banter. The Baseball Hour with Tony Maz on the Sports Hub.
You had spent a lot of time in the last couple of years saying that you wanted a Red Sox team that played faster. How much do you enjoy watching the way that you guys played over these few games?
It's good. It's good. This is the environment we're playing, and they've changed the rules for this type of baseball. And it's not that we're going to run crazy out there, but you need athletic guys to win it. To be competitive at this level, you have to be you have to be very athletic. Why? Because not all the time you're going to hit. You're not going to hit the ball out of the ballpark all the time, but you can do the other stuff. You can play defense every day. Speed is not going to slump. You get to first, you can steal second, you can score from second with a bloop single, and we got a bunch of athletes, and I'm happy with that.
So again, that was part of Alex Cora's pregame interview the other night. Might have been postgame, actually. I take it back. It's postgame. And then Alex Spear asked some follow-up questions about, the kind of offense that Red Cora wants to play. And I just think it gave you to me, this is always the good stuff. This is what drives me nuts about a lot of the interviews that take place pregame and postgame. Instead of saying, hey, what'd you think of so-and-so's performance? Cora starts talking about a rally, and I know people like home runs, and Alex Spear, to his credit, not that I'm surprised, because Alex has been covering that team a long time and recognized sort of the opening, which is when Cora starts talking about the rally, and I'm the manager, and this is how we're going to play, Alex Spear senses it and says, well, wait a minute. So let's talk about the philosophy of offense. Now we're getting info. We're getting some insight and how Cora thinks about it. And the snarky comment about, I know some people are probably upset about it, talking about launching or what have you. That stuff interests me because now I know this is how Cora feels about it. That is a revealing question. Why do you feel this way, Alex? And then, the why part is always important, not how. How did you feel? What did you think about so-and-so? I watched the game. I know he was good. I don't need the manager to tell me the starting pitcher was good. Now, if you want to ask him, why was he effective tonight? Well, he was able to get ahead. He did this. Okay, that's a little closer. But give me a real question. And the questions that Alex Spear asked were real questions. So I just found them to be helpful. That's all. And I am obsessed with the Cora story because, frankly, I think he's out. I don't think it's often you see a manager say, I don't want to be here anymore because I don't think you want to win. And I think that's where we are with Alex Cora. I have a question for both you guys specifically, but hang on one second. John in the car. John, what do you got?
Tony, how's it going?
Good.
I watched the game. I'll always watch the game, even though I say I won't. I'm that putz. But
sure, me too.
I don't care how they score their runs, Tony. They hit it out of the park. They run around the bases like the 85 Cardinals, whatever. Score the runs. You got to win the game. They don't ask how you got there. They just ask how you win. My question is this, Tony. To get them like the Phillies, the 37-14 beast, if this Apple TV thing that you were talking to Karavis about, if this actually came to fruition and they actually dissolved all these local things and that chunk of money came out of John Henry's finance, if you will, and he didn't have that Nesson subscription, which to me is what's making all his money. Because I'm an old guy, Tony, like you. I'm gonna have cable because I don't want to deal with all the apps. I would rather be able to split my cable and just pay for the Bruins on Nesson and not pay for the Red Sox right now. If I had to buy an Apple package to eliminate Nesson, I would do it to hope that Henry would sell the team because he lost that revenue.
Okay, so this touches on a story that I mentioned the other day. I don't know if you guys saw this, read it, heard it. I'll just recap it quickly so that people know what the hell John's talking about. It's not necessarily an Apple TV package, but he's got the general premise right. Right now, it's really more the business structure of the game that would change more than anything else. But at the moment, the Red Sox sell their rights to Nesson. Any money the Red Sox get, they keep. That's simple. Every team does that in baseball. The teams with bigger audiences in bigger cities make more. So the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Giants, the Cubs, the Dodgers are all going to get higher TV rights because they're in bigger markets. We all know this. and they keep that money. Baseball is now investigating or talking about changing the structure so that purchasing all of those games, instead of you watching the Red Sox on NESN and paying NESN or paying Comcast,
Right.
everything is done through MLB. MLB collects all the money. So there would still be, let's just say for the sake of argument, there will still be a NESN.
Yes, they'll just eliminate the blackouts and what has been really hurting the game for a long time and been the main complaint.
Correct. And you won't be able to buy NESN through your cable provider or even the 360 app per se. You want to buy NESN, you got to buy it through MLB, and then you get either all of it. And look, they might have packages or, hey, I want the American League East package. You get all the teams in the division. I want the whole MLB package. I can watch any game at any time. And then you pay one flat fee and you can watch all the games in the country. But the money that pours into there is then shared among the 30 teams equally. Socialism, like the NFL has. Think of it in those terms.
Right. They farm out their broadcast rights to, obviously all the networks and now the streaming services. Instead of the individual, we're selling our rights to the RSN or, of course, the Red Sox because they own NESN. It's their own, it's
Correct.
their own thing.
So the real question then becomes this. Are the Red Sox in favor of that or against it? And to John the caller's point, logic says they'd be against it. They make more money now selling it on their own. They don't have to share it with Tampa Bay. They're one of the big market teams. They're going to get more money by selling their own TV product.
Right. I mean, and everybody pays for it. The regional sports fee.
Correct.
Right? I mean, I just went in and, renegotiated my cable contract, and there it is right there.
Yeah.
And the reason I have cable, NESN, because I want to watch the Red Sox and I want to watch the Bruins. And it's just the simplest way for me to do it.
Okay, so that's go ahead.
Yeah, and how about that NESN 360 app that, doesn't go back to the game? You just sit with 8-minute commercials from time to time. But you look at a recent comment from Hal Steinbrenner. I don't know if you guys saw this. He came out, I believe it was yesterday, and said, don't expect our payroll to be this high again. And the connection was immediately drawn to what we were hearing from John Henry in 2018 and 2019, as he heard from, the other owners. Obviously, John Henry's the big one, but the other people that are involved with the ball club, and they were worried that profits and margins weren't what they once were. And as we've seen with baseball declining in popularity, specifically NESN, who is just not drawing like they once did, this is the major fear. And I think they look at it and they view it as being potentially even worse if this major MLB package comes to light.
So this is my question. Does it then, are they actually in favor of it? Because then they can cut payrolls and say, what did you want us to do? We're not making the same money we are anymore. It's about the health of the sport, health of the game. We had to go to a socialistic model. The game is not as popular as it used to be. I wonder on some level if the Red Sox are actually in favor of it.
Because it's an excuse.
Right. So it would allow them to cut payroll further and have an accounting justification for it and say, we're not getting the same money from NESN anymore. We haven't been, in fact, so we started to cut it anyway. So we're not raking in the TV money we used to rake in. Look, again, it's a story that interests me as a baseball fan because the whole financial structure of the game could change. And if the big market teams are losing TV money, well, then those big $500, $600, $700 million contracts, the one that went to Ohtani, the one that's probably going to go to Soto, and the others that may come along, those might not happen.
Well, didn't the Dodgers just redo their local TV deal too? Which
Correct.
is why they had the money for Ohtani, for Glasnow, for Yamamoto. They just came off a big offseason or recently getting a massive TV deal, a local TV deal. That's the thing here, I think, for people to understand is that's where the money is in baseball. It's in local TV. The NFL, the money's in national TV, it's all about the local TV broadcast and rights. And that's what's going on across the country is some of these RSNs, regional sports networks, have gone under, and these rights are being pulled back. So I don't know. It's really fascinating. I don't want to get too down the rabbit hole on it, but I love the story, and I'd love to just be able to click a button and buy my Red Sox package.
And I'll add, the freezing already started. It already started this offseason. You can argue past offseasons when Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery got into camp. Look at Tommy Pham with the White Sox. He's been ridiculous. This guy was a number 3 hitter on the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he couldn't find a job. He had to sit there and wait until the White Sox threw some money at him. A poverty franchise that isn't even trying to compete this year. Eventually, they were just like, all right, well, it's such a good deal. We can just flip you for something at the deadline. That guy was being frozen out. I think the elite talent are always going to be in a good place because people know what that brings merchandise-wise, advertising-wise, just in terms of viewership. But the middle class to lower class, that's the side that gets kind of knocked out. But there are some people wondering if Steinbrenner came out and said this, because who's going to be a free agent at the end of this offseason? And who's with Scott Boras, who was the face of a failure this offseason, with players like Jordan Montgomery saying, I am done with you. It's Juan Soto. And this has the chance to be the biggest, outside of Ohtani, free agent case we've ever seen. He's going to get $450 to $500 million.
I'm just telling you that the short story is this. There's some sort of major financial reform in baseball coming. Okay, it's coming.
You saw it with the luxury tax and the entire conversation in the last CBA. And who was at the front of it? The Red Sox. These big CBA or big spending teams who just were trying to lower things as much as they possibly could.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Let's all get together. Let's put our brains together. We can do this in each and every local market. Let's do a bake sale.
Yeah,
because revenues are struggling so much in baseball that they need our help. So let's rally together, GoFundMe pages, and a bake sale. That'll help baseball.
Yep. So to steal Bill Belichick's line, let's have a bake sale for the owners because we all know that they're really struggling.
I mean, the finances are just so tight for Major League Sports. So let's do what we can from a grassroots level to help them not go out of business.
Not everybody can be the Phillies and spend all this money and put together a great baseball team. Why we can't be them?
It all starts with small businesses. Let's go. Let's do the bake sale. I'll do the brownies, and we'll have Murray contribute some of the ingredients.
Okay, everybody hold their thoughts. I still have a question for these guys on a specific positional player with the Red Sox who has disappeared, and I don't know why, and it's not because I'm not watching. I never see him on the field, or I haven't of late. Anyway, we'll get to that after. Oh, no, it's McCarthy. McCarthy gets you caught up on headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Hey, speaking of TV rights, you know where we're going to find the Red Sox tonight? Apple TV. That's right. Red Sox and Brewers opening up a 3-game set at Fenway Park. First pitch 7:10. Cutter Crawford on the mound. Tristan Casas took grounders tonight. Still on the 60-day IL with his rib injury until at least June 21st. Celtics with a win over the Pacers last night. 126-110 behind Jaylen Brown's 40 points to take a 2-0 lead in the Eastern Conference Finals. Game 3 set for tomorrow night in Indianapolis. Tyrese Halliburton officially listed as questionable for that one with his hamstring injury. Western Conference Finals Game 2 tonight. Mavs and Timberwolves tip off in Minnesota at 8:30. Dallas leads that series 1-0. Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final tonight in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Madison Square Garden. Panthers have a 1-0 lead on the Rangers. Puck drop at 8 p.m. And the Revolution host NYCFC tomorrow night. Kickoff at 7:30 here on the Sports Hub. Meanwhile, Man City and Man United will meet in the FA Cup final tomorrow morning. Headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, now open in Raynham, Reading, and Braintree. I'm Matt McCarthy. I'm Boston's Home for Sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update, 30 minutes.
Again, that's Cora talking about the offense. This is how it should be. So, I can't help but get sucked into that conversation. It happened to me last night. It's happened to me again. I don't want to go too far with it because, I could talk about it for freaking 5 hours. This whole idea of, every guy in the lineup has got to be the same. Home runs are the most efficient way to score, so we're going to teach everybody launch angle. We'd rather have a strikeout than a double play. So, fine. Now you're playing home run derby, though, and the game's boring. So, from a fan's perspective, you'd rather have guys in the lineup who can do different things. And then even if there's a walk, single, double play, wild pitch, fly out to end the inning, and nobody scores, that's more entertaining than strikeout, walk, 2-run homer, strikeout.
I think
at least I got base runners. At least I have a threat. You follow me?
Yeah, I think where I kind of walk or, frame it or however I want to picture it is, we've seen the running and scoring position issue for them. They just can't knock these guys in. And it would be a strikeout or, a guy at second with no outs and you can't get him over to third with 1 out so you can score him on a sac fly or whatever. To me, it aligns a little bit more with the David Hamilton conversation and some of the development conversation we've been having about, hey, I don't want to teach this guy how to play shortstop. He should be able to come up here and do his job. I think it's a little bit of Cora saying with today's player, it's just not valued. People, they don't understand what it means to move a runner along, what it means to, sacrifice yourself to push that run across. Even in terms of Jaron Duran stealing home, Endeavor's going to second. Those little things, I think that's what he's looking for in baseball players today, because that was the stuff what made Alex Cora stick in the big leagues. It was the fundamental stuff, and at the center of today's game, I don't even want to blame the front offices. Maybe it's a big picture thing, but these guys weren't raised or they don't play the game in that way. They don't even think about it that way.
Because again, the analysts have taken over the minor leagues too, Tyler. It's about rather than you, hitting 275 with 25 doubles, we'd rather you hit 230 with 15 homers.
I think that's why he gives Rafaela so much love, because while he leads the Red Sox in RBIs and all rookies, Rafaela's not hitting much, but he moves the runner along. He pushes the guy across over and over. I wouldn't center it as he's going after Breslow. I think it's a philosophy thing inside of all of baseball.
Yeah, again,
today.
It's about how the game is played. It becomes a much different conversation, which is why, again, I don't want to go too far into it. But since you brought up David Hamilton, I'm curious. You guys tell me, okay, because, again, I've been sort of knee-deep on the Celtics and Bruins. I'm not going to lie about that. It's just, this is the second show, and the Felger and Maz show, the playoffs, everybody's watching. I got to watch those. So I've been missing some baseball. Can either one of you tell me, and let me start with you, Matt, why isn't Vaughn Grissom playing?
I think it's a fascinating question.
Why isn't he playing?
Well, obviously he hasn't played well. I mean, the guy's batting $130. He's batting $136 with a 317 OPS. So, but it's not like the Red Sox don't have other guys who are batting below the Mendoza line. So I think this is a really interesting one, right? Because Grissom is the guy they acquired for Chris Sale. This is the type of guy that the front office probably wants you to play. But Cora probably looks at him and says, this kid isn't ready. He had the injury for whatever reason. He's not ready. And, do I like some things about his game? Do I like the swing? Yeah. Do I think there's something there with him? There might be. So I'm not here to count out Vaughn Grissom just yet. I'm not. But he can't give you anything right now. David Hamilton's going to give you more than Vaughn Grissom. David Hamilton has had a little bit more big league experience this year. He's obviously a little bit fresher. When he gets on, and it doesn't happen that much, he can run. So why isn't he playing? I bet you it's because Cora's looking at it and saying, this kid isn't ready to give me enough right now, and don't send me guys who can't give me anything. Not that Hamilton's going to give you much, but at least he can run. So he's probably looking at, that's probably the calculation, my guess would be, when it comes to Hamilton versus Grissom.
Tyler?
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if I agree with the idea that Grissom isn't playing. Obviously, he had the first game off in the Tampa Bay series, right? You go before that, he did end up getting one more day off on May 15th, and we've been seeing David Hamilton at shortstop a lot. But Cora came out a couple days ago and said, I told Vaughn Grissom, you're going to keep playing. Don't expect to be sitting on the bench or anything like that. I think they're trying to ease him along, especially early. I know the 14-pound thing, everyone's sick of hearing about it. I think that's what I would attribute to it early on. I think the other half of it is he's struggling and he looks mentally kind of like he's going through it. And I look at Vaughn Grissom, you want to talk about what kind of player I think he's going to be? There's no room for development left at AAA for this guy. He hit 330, 419, 501 last year in 102 games for Atlanta's AAA team. Keep in mind, who's the youngest player on this team right now? We talk about Ceddanne Rafaela. Grissom's 6 months younger than him. So there is going to be some form of growing pains here. I think you're just watching a young player try to figure it out. Obviously didn't get much of a spring training either, but credit to Grissom. I think at second base, it hasn't been perfect. He's not a disaster out there. He doesn't look like he doesn't know how to play baseball. You get some funky arm motions, but I think they're willing to ride with this guy, and Cora has told them just that. I just think so far you're not seeing great results. But if you thought he was going to come here and, people compare him to Xander Bogaerts because physically he looks like him a little bit, that's not the hitter he is. If anything, he's more of Alex Cora's type. He's old school. Spray the ball around. You're not going to club a lot of homers, but we expect you to have a high batting average. I think that's what kind of player he is. It's just he doesn't look like he's impacting the ball much. It's not a lot of hard contact. I saw a little bit more of it in Tampa Bay, which made me feel decent. But I don't know. I think we're going to see a lot of Von Grissom. I think the real question is, what's the ceiling, and is he good enough to be a starter?
Okay, so then shorter answer, different question. Why is David Hamilton now playing shortstop again?
I think because they want Ceddanne Raphael in center field, and Hamilton's been swinging it over the last 7. He's hitting 300 over the last 7
So
games.
It's just because he's hot.
Yeah, I think they're riding the hot hand here, and I think going back to what you said, Craig Breslow wants Ceddanne Raphael in center field. He got put there out of necessity. You look at David Hamilton. He barely played for 2 weeks.
They're still doing the same crap.
No, but you see, look, Hamilton started 6 of the last 9 games. In 8 of those 9, he's appeared at shortstop. This is how Breslow wants the team to be and what he wants it to look like, because he believes you get that much out of Rafaela in center field. I may not agree with you, but if Hamilton's hitting for a team that's had offensive problems, I think that's where they're going to lean in that direction.
Okay, let me take this call. George and Malden. George, go ahead.
Hi, I spend a monthly fee to see all the Red Sox games on NESN. Now these games are being dealt out to Apple TV and other TV stations. Tonight I'd like to see the Brewers play the Red Sox, but I can't because Apple TV has it. Now, when in the future years, are more games going to be dealt out away from NESN? And it'll be taken away from me to see?
Well, so George, I understand. No, I'm going to let you go. I'll answer your question off the air. Thank you for the call. So, George, here's what I'm going to tell you, and this isn't going to make you happy. Frankly, and again, I don't know how old you are. I say this with all the respect. You're clearly on the older side, which is fine. You're going to get screwed. You're going to get screwed. Because what's going to happen is baseball is not interested in you as a viewer anymore. They want younger viewers who are going to access games differently, be it on their phones or on their tablets, or, like my son, don't even have cable because they stream everything. Okay? So when I say my son, because he's a freshman in college, he doesn't have cable. Not interested. So if he wants to watch something, he has to buy something and stream it on his phone, or again, he can do it on his TV. But the bottom line is, it's not going to be in a way that you are familiar with accessing it. I don't think. If you are, then you can absolutely tell me that. But the fact that you don't have Apple TV tells me that you don't stream. So you're going to get screwed. You're not going to be able to watch anymore. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. And I'll add the Roku thing. That entire situation was gross. They didn't agree to that deal until 4 days before that game started. And it's replacing the Peacock game they had last year that we all know of.
And it cost MLB money.
That's it. It's May, the game was what, May 18th, 17th, whatever it was, 4 days before you announce this partnership that's supposed to go through the rest of the season, and the Red Sox won't be on Roku again. It's just mismanagement. It's poor marketing. It's poor everything. But that lines in a lot with what Major League Baseball does because, as usual, they don't really have a plan, and they kind of call it by the seat of their pants.
So, again, look, I understand they have a business to run, but for a guy like that he's the majority of the audience right now for the Red Sox. You take him out, the Red Sox ratings are going to be ridiculously low.
It'll be me. I'll be the only one watching.
That's true, Tyler. You will be, because I know me and McCarthy are watching.
Got the Celtics to watch, Milliken.
In fact,
maybe we should check them out.
Huh?
No, when that happens, we're going to rely on you to do the show, because McCarthy and I are going to the bar. This is what we're doing. God. Anyway, I told you at the end of the show, I never do this, ever. It's not baseball related, but Kevin Majori gave me a story today that made me laugh out loud. It relates to golf and what I would call a highly reported story in golf that took place last week during one of the major championships, the PGA Championship, involving a very high-profile player. Some details came out about it that made me laugh my ass off. We'll tell you what those were when we come back on the Baseball Hour.
Stay tuned for more of the Baseball Boston's best baseball banter. The Baseball Hour with Tony Maz on the Sports Hub.
All right, I told you, this is not something that's going to happen with any sort of regularity. It's Memorial Day weekend. It's almost 7 o'clock. Kevin Majori handed me a story, golf-related, that when I came in today, I almost peed my pants laughing. I can't use the other word, I don't think. Right, Jimmy? As a verb? I can't use it as a verb.
Bodily functions are not allowed.
Okay, so I almost wet my pants.
That particular potty word is not allowed.
Okay, so anyway, everybody remembers the Scotty Scheffler story. He got pulled out of a car by a police officer, blah, blah, blah. My take on it was, just do what the cop tells you. Okay? Just do what the effing cop tells you. Get out of your car. Quit being an a-hole. Well, it came out yesterday on NBC News. The police officer who put world number one golfer Scotty Scheffler in handcuffs has a lengthy disciplinary record that includes multiple suspensions, employment records revealed Thursday. Guy's name is Brian Gillis. Okay, so now I say, well, what the hell did this guy do? Like, is he beating people up or whatever? So, Louisville Metro Police Department released Gillis's personnel records Thursday. Okay, now the particulars. I'm not going to be able to get through this with a straight face.
I believe in you.
Gillis was suspended for 5 days for, quote, conduct unbecoming, end quote, for driving, open quote, an intoxicated civilian in your police vehicle and proceeding to doing donuts in a business parking lot.
It's super bad. The worst. McLovin.
According to a September 18, 2013 memo by then Chief Steve Conrad. So, not only did he have the civilian in his police vehicle, he decided to take the guy for a donut ride. Okay. He was also disciplined for pursuing, quote, a vehicle that did not commit a violent felony or was wanted on a warrant, close quote.
So he just chased somebody down.
For the hell of it. Like, nah, I don't like that guy. I'm going to chase him. Okay? So, again, disciplined for pursuing a vehicle that did not commit a violent felony. He was found, quote, at fault.
Oh, God. Worst resume ever.
For accidents on May 22nd, 2001 and August 6, 2019 that led to oral reprimands. Gillis was also found to be, quote, at fault, close quote, for December 1st, 2013 accident that led to an oral reprimand and mandatory driver's training. The officer was hit with a 1-day suspension in both 2010 and 2011 for failing to show up to court. That was followed by a 4-day ban in 2012 for continuing to miss court appearances, documents showed. This is the best one. Gillis did, however, receive commendation for being among 7 officers who went, quote, above and beyond, close quote, the call of duty in a high-intensity traffic enforcement detail that, quote, culminated in you issuing a staggering 108 citations.
Oh, my God.
114 charges and 1 DUI arrest out of 201 citations issued during the 4-hour operational period on September 16th, 2021.
Wait, I'm sorry. How many?
This guy gave out 108 tickets in 4 hours in September 20.
Is that not a record? There's no way that's ever been taught.
Above and beyond.
Does that sound like a rational police officer to you? Giving out 108 tickets in 4 hours?
Well, I mean,
we did the math. It's 29 tickets an hour.
Every 2 minutes? How are you doing it every 2 minutes?
Every 2 minutes, he was giving out a ticket. Every freaking 2 minutes.
Well, I mean, based on his track record, he's definitely the type of guy you want judging the safety of of a motor vehicle.
So, in this case, I would say don't listen to the cop. Okay, that might have been a mistake on my part. Again, I don't know if we'll ever know the whole story or see the whole video. I think this sucker's getting swept away. But wow, I mean, the story is going to go away. They're going to cut a deal. That'll be the end of it. 108 tickets in 4 hours. That is an accomplishment.
And he received a certificate for it.
Commendation. Meanwhile, he probably did it while doing donuts with the civilian in the backseat of his car. Absolutely comical.
Balanced the entire city of Louisville's budget.
Fellas, thanks to both of you for coming in.
See you, Matt.
It was a blast.
And Matt, thanks to you in particular. So I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Matt.
All right, let's see. McCarthy's Get Your Headlines. Everybody, have a fabulous Memorial Day weekend.
WBCFM 91 bus from the town, Fair Tires.